Good morning. Welcome back to our kitchen. I'm Stephanie and this is Brittany. We're two of Festival's dietitians, and this morning we're getting fresh with herbs.
Yes.
And one of the things with herbs and why we wanted to talk about it, it's a little bit different than our normal segments.
Right.
But herbs are kind of that sweet spot between delicious and nutritious.
Yes, and herbs have been used for a long time for their medicinal properties, but they're really important lately because they've been discovered to have just as many healthful benefits when used in food and when you cook and eat them.
Right, and the polyphenols are the big one.
Yes, so herbs are a great source of polyphenols, which are an antioxidant that works as an anti-inflammatory.
So it's one of those beautiful things. You can add it on, it adds flavor. It also allows you to cut salt and sugar content in a lot of your recipes without sacrificing the flavor.
You're 100% right.
Awesome. So we brought 3 of our favorites today, so we'll jump right in with dill.
So dill, what's the deal with dill, right?
Right.
Dill is actually a really flavorful and pungent herb. I mean, we've all had dill pickles. We know that familiar flavor. It has a feathery green leaf.
Yeah, the leaves are so fun if you look at them. I think a lot of times when you see it in products, you don't even really think about what the actual herb looks like.
Right. And it goes really great with cucumbers, in dips, and with seafood. So
mashed potatoes and scrambled eggs are another way that I love to use it.
I can't wait to try that.
Yeah, it's a fun twist on breakfast.
So here we have an example of a vegetable dip that we've made with non-fat plain Greek yogurt and fresh dill sprigs, and that's
Just those 2 ingredients.
Just those 2 ingredients. So a quick veggie dip. And then we also have some cucumber sandwiches that are made with dill, a dill spread. So another quick appetizer for entertaining.
Yeah, and a lot of people see them this way. You can also, like you said, use it on fish and things like that.
Yep.
I think dill is just one of those, you add it to anything and it's that pop of freshness.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we'll move on to one of my favorites, which is cilantro. And I think with cilantro, people just automatically go to Mexican fare.
Naturally.
But you can use it in so many more ways. But I did bring one of my favorite cheats when I'm having people over or you're trying to figure out how to put a quick party on for your friends. Guacamole is one of those things that it goes so well for everybody.
Yes.
But sometimes you get to the store and you can't find the perfectly ripe avocado or whatever it is.
It's happened to me for sure.
Holy guacamole, cut up some fresh cilantro, mix it in, and you have to take it out of the plastic container, of course, but it's a quick win, and people usually love it.
I love that idea.
But cilantro is also awesome on other things like fresh turkey burgers. I love doing that. It adds a pop of color, but also the punch of flavor.
Yes.
And it's great on salads as well.
Yes, a very versatile herb. I love cilantro. And then I want to move on to one of my favorites, tarragon, which I wanted to touch on because not that many people are familiar with tarragon.
No, I've never personally purchased it and used it.
Yes, well, I used it for the first time making salmon burgers, and I just fell in love with it. It actually has a slight licorice flavor, which I know sounds weird, but it actually pairs really well with seafood, poultry, sauces and dips. So
yeah, and carrots were the other thing that I've heard it pairs well with.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Definitely. Here we've used it in a popcorn seasoning. So we've just added some fresh tarragon that's minced up, grated Parmesan cheese, a little bit of salt, garlic powder, and then some dried parsley. So a great way to add some fresh flavors to popcorn.
Fresh flavors, but you also mentioned a dried herb.
A dried herb. Yes, and I do want to point out that dried herbs are just as beneficial health-wise as fresh herbs, and they're actually a little bit more pungent because they're so concentrated. So you don't typically need as much dried herbs as you do fresh.
Right, the conversion would be 1 tablespoon of a fresh herb to 1 teaspoon of a dried.
Yes, that's right.
But now you don't want to, where you get a big pack of fresh herbs, you wouldn't want to necessarily buy a huge amount of a dried herb.
Right, and that's where I love shopping at Festival in their bulk herb and spices section because you can really get just the right amount that you need. You don't want to keep dried herbs longer than a year.
Yeah, and I learned that the hard way. I pulled some out of my own spice cupboard, and they were probably about 4 years old, I'm sad to say.
I think we all have those jars.
They tasted like nothing, but
yes.
Especially for some of those herbs or spices that are a little more expensive to buy just what you need, it's a perfect way and perfect reason to use the bulk spice section.
Right, right. So now that we've talked a little bit about storing dried herbs, fresh herbs, I know that's an area where a lot of people don't quite know how long they can last.
I know the first time I bought cilantro, I had no idea what to do with it. So you can actually put them just like a normal flower. You'd put it like in a vase or a glass.
Okay.
Where you just put water in it, the stems go in. But one of my favorite ways, because I often like to put them in the crisper, and they're sold in the greens wall usually, so they have the water sprinkling down. Well, they don't have that anymore when you take them home. So if you wrap them in a damp paper towel and put them back in the bag, seal it up, put it in the crisper, they last for at least up to a week.
Right, and the more tender leaves like basil and cilantro will last about a week. The firmer leaves like rosemary and thyme will last up to 2 weeks, so you get a little bit more time with thyme.
Which makes all the sense in the world,
Yes.
right? But now, okay, so we get some of these packages that there's too much to use.
Right.
So what can I do with those?
What I like to do is chop them up and put them in an ice cube tray, and then you can put in some chicken stock or water and freeze them, and then you can take out those cubes, add them to soups or stews, and you just have those ready to go.
I've never done that, but I absolutely love the idea. We
So
actually have
convenient.
products like that in the frozen department, but you don't even have to go buy those products because you can make your own.
Exactly. And I do want to say, too, that you don't always need to chop herbs to use them and get those great flavors. The full leaves are very aromatic. I mean, you can smell them right now.
Right. Yeah, we're not even cooking, and it just smells awesome in the
So a lot of
kitchen.
times with things like basil, you can just add right to your sauces or whatever you're making.
Awesome. Well, great information, and definitely something that I know a lot of people would like to learn more about. So if you're looking for this information, you can visit Brittany's blog at blog.festfoods.com.
See you next time.